Okay, so hello class. In this recording, we're going to talk about the types of assessment methods, or basically these are the types of tests that we are going to do in a particular assessment type. Okay, so of course, there are many different sources wherein we can look at their different assessment methods for different types of tasks, okay? But for this particular juncture, we're going to look at Macmillan's enumeration of the different types of assessment methods, which are divided into the 7 that you see on your screens right now, okay? So we first begin with selected response, okay? Ito yung isa sa pinakakilala ninyong mga type of tests, okay? Because this type of tests are basically tests where students select a particular correct answer from the given set of responses. Examples of these types are multiple choice, true or false, identification. Class, ang identification, ganito yan ha. Okay? You're given basically a collection of words and then a collection of statements. Yung mga statements na yun, i-connect nyo, mamimili kayo ng isa sa mga given words na magsaserve as the choice for your statement. Okay? So, it's the same as categorizing a particular set of ideas. Yun po yung talagang identification. Okay? Yung identification na tinatawag natin na nagsusupply tayo ng answer, nabibigyan ng statement, mamaya yun, hindi yun sa selected response. Okay? Another example of a selected response is yung ating matching type. Okay? Now, all of the characteristics here are as follows. Bibigyan ka ng set of responses, and from this set of responses, you're going to select an answer. Okay? So, with that construction or with that structure in mind, okay, it means that this types of test has the highest objectivity among all the types of tests because each statement can only have one correct answer. Or there may be rare instances na pwede yung dalawa, but most of the time, isa at isa lang yung tamang sagot. Okay, so there is no objection or there is no bias to that one. Pag tama yung sagot mo, tama talaga. Okay? There is no degree of correctness or degree of wrongness. It's 100% wrong or 100% right. Okay? That's a selected response. Next, we have the constructed response. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, yung nakasanayan natin quote-unquote identification. A constructed response is basically a type of test where learners are instructed to construct or produce their own outputs. Okay? Now, this is different from an essay test as we will talk about later. Ang constructed response, they are relatively objective wherein may tinatanong ka na very particular lamang. Okay? So, for example, the name of the Philippine national hero is blank. Okay? Now, of course, pwede mong isagot doon, the name of the Philippine national hero is long, but ideally, you know na ang hinahanap mo ay yung buong pangalan ni Dr. Jose Rizal. Okay? Or di naman kaya pwede mong tanungin, the municipality that serves as the capital of Pangasinan is blank. Okay? Those are examples of constructed responses. Ang tawag doon, particularly ay short answer test or supply type tests. Okay? Kasama na rin sa short answer test, yung mga fill in the blanks. Okay? Very sikat to sa mga English passages. Okay? Wherein you're going to put words to make a particular passage cohesive. Okay? Kasama na rin dito, when it comes to mathematics, yung mga problem solving. Kasi you're going to construct a solution in order to arrive to an answer. Okay? What is evident in constructed response is magko-construct yung mga bata, magko-complete yung mga bata ng isang particular thought lamang, a specific part of their knowledge lamang. Okay? So this at most of the times very limited ang constructed response. One sentence can even be very long here. Usually mga single word, single phrases lang yung mga kino-construct nating response, except in mathematics wherein you are going to make an entire solution. Okay? Next, we have performance-based exams. Okay? Ang PE ang isa sa pinaka, what do you call this? Pinaka-suki dito. Okay? Because in in performance assessment types, you are basically making an extensive or collaborative response. Okay? Now, this is not just a response as a pen and paper type response. This is a response in terms of products, in terms of actions, in terms of demonstrations, in terms of outputs. Okay? So, kasama dito yung paggawa ng poster, recitals, reportings, role plays, etc., etc. As you can already assume, these types of assessment methods are subjective, which means that in order to be graded, dapat meron kang maayos na rubric. And of course, hindi lang yung particular objective yung makikita mo na pinapakita ng bata dito. Pinapakita rin nila yung mga related skills nila dito that may or may not be within your course content. For example, okay, pwede tayong gumawa ng poster dito sa assessment of learning. However, yung skills niyo sa paggawa, pagdrawing, hindi naman tinuturo yan sa assessment of learning. You have learned that from somewhere else. Okay? So that is performance. As the name suggests, you're going to perform a particular task. Okay? Now, let's move on to the essay type. Okay? An essay type is a constructed response test, okay, wherein a student will have to write a comprehensive response, okay, to a particular question. Now, yung constructed response kanina, yung mga short lang, mga brief constructed response, mga isang sentence, isang word yung nilalagay. However, sa essay, these types of methods would give opportunities for students to show how much they know about a particular particular topic. Okay? So, yung pinaka-goal ng essay. Okay? Gusto mong mag-free flow, maging open-ended yung mga tanong para talaga ma-elaborate ng bata yung kanilang mga answer. Now, there are two types of essays here. You have restricted response, yung kokonting mga paragraphs lang. Okay? Take note, paragraphs lang po ito. And of course, meron kang extended response. Okay? Usually, sa mga exam na parang hinahalo lang yung essay, sa pinakadulo ng exam, usually mga restricted response lang yon. Mga 200 words, madami na. Mga 3 paragraphs, sasabihin ng instruction. Okay? However, ang extended response, makikita mo yan sa mga, what do you call this? Sa mga comprehensive exam ng mga masters. Okay? Wherein an entire test is dedicated to answering only 2 questions, okay? In my experience then, we were asked 3 questions. We are supposed to answer those 3 questions within 3 hours, okay? So you can expect na 1,000 words is at least the maximum for a very extended response like that, okay? Kasi nga, what you want to extract here when you do essays is yung pinaka-comprehensive and extensive knowledge ng mga learners, kung hanggang saan yung kaya nilang magbigay na example, kung hanggang saan yung makikita nilang connection ng topic to another topics or to the entire field as a whole. Okay? So magandang essay, if you want to really lay out kung hanggang saan ang knowledge ng iyong learners. And of course, essay is a pen and paper type test. And also, it is subjective. Okay, so it also needs a rubric. Okay, next we have oral questioning. Now, oral questioning is the best tool whenever you want to do formative assessment. Okay, because medyo kokonti lang yung disruption niya sa klase and nakikinig rin yung mga learners doon sa tinatanong mong particular question. Okay, so for example, I ask in the class, what is the definition of initial assessment again? Yes, student number 1. Okay. So, yung sagot ni student number 1, maririnig ng buong klase. And from that question, okay, you're going to elaborate them and in order for the other learners to have assessment as learning. Okay? That is informal oral questioning. You can also do oral questioning in a formalized format. For example, mga one-to-one questioning. Okay? Sa defense ng thesis, oral questioning din po ang nangyayari doon. Okay, mga interviews and conferences. For example, mga research and seminar conferences na mayroong question and answer portion. That's also the uses of formal oral questioning. But then again, sa typical classroom, this exists as in informal form. Okay, that you use for formative assessment. Okay. Next, you have teacher observations. Now, teacher observations are best used for measuring the affective what do you call this? The affective domain of your learners. Okay? Kasi, when you observe, again, usually hindi mo naman sinasabi na mag-observe ka. Okay? Pinapansin mo lang kung is there something wrong with this student, okay, ano ba yung mga actions niya, etc. etc. One of the tools na ginagamit natin for teacher observation ay tinatawag natin observation checklist. Okay? This is a list of actions or a list of attitudes na tinitingnan natin sa isang bata. Commonly ginagamit siya sa mga younger learners. Okay? Para ma-assess natin mabait ba siya or hindi. And of course, hindi lang sa classroom natin ino-observe yung mga students. Ino-observe din natin sila sa labas. Okay? Kaya ang teacher observations is most useful for measuring the attitudes of the learners. Kasi chances are, kapag nagpa-pen and paper test ka para i-test yung attitude nila, maaaring maging ideal yung tingin lang nila sa isang particular scenario. Whereas, pag in-observe mo sila sa labas ng classroom or sa loob, makikita mo yung kanilang unfiltered, okay, unfiltered responses sa isang particular scenario. Okay? So, yun yung pinaka-use ng teacher observations. Of course, ginagamit din to assess your classroom and not just your learners. Okay? Pag napansin mo yung classroom ay medyo madumi, okay, medyo mabaho, okay, then you make decisions based on your assessment from teacher observation. Okay? Again, teacher observation best used for affective targets. Okay? And then we have student self-assessment. Now, dalawa po ang uri ng student self-assessment. It can be their self-assessment of themselves or their peer evaluation. Okay? Now, student self-assessment is best used for metacognitive targets. If you want your students to perform assessment as learning. Okay? Now, of course, again, a student self-assessment usually kasi pwede itong gawin in combination with oral questioning, in combination with teacher assessment. Okay? But most usually, this is a pen and paper test where students answer on a particular topic. For example, ang mga pinakasikat dito yung mga researches. Okay? The perception of learners towards the LGBTQ rights. Okay? Magsasagot naman sila doon, I am in favor, I am not in favor, etc., etc., etc. Okay? Ina-assess nila yung sarili nilang perception on a particular topic. That's an example of student self-assessment. Okay? Ang peer assessment, usually nangyayari yan pag meron kang group work. Okay? Usually maganda rin yung gawin pag meron ka talagang group work. For example, itatanong mo sa mga individual members how helpful are the other members when it comes to their group work. Kasi hindi mo naman nakikita kung yung si Carlos ba ay tumulong talaga o baka naman nagluto lang siya ng pansit canton. Okay? Kung tumulong ba siya or nagbigay lang siya ng pang-abuloy para sa mga kaklase niyang pinagpupuyatan yung ginagawa nilang project. Okay? So, peer assessment is useful in this particular condition. Okay? You can also do this when it comes to class effectiveness. Okay? Are your officers effective? Are your students effective in their particular task? Especially pag may mga reporting. Maganda ang peer assessment para makita mo yung general view ng mga classmate ng reporter kung maayos ba yung report or hindi. Okay? So self-assessment is students self-assessment is basically a collection of assessments, okay, wherein they will gauge their own and their classmates' particular skill, particular knowledge on a selected topic. Okay? So, yun po yung ating self-assessment. Now, of course, there are many different types of assessments as well. Okay? A hyperlink is suggested here. So, if you have time, please do try and look at this extensive resource para kahit paano makita nyo ano ba yung mga uri ng iba pang assessment na hindi nasabi dito sa module na ito. Okay? Kasi there are some assessments that will be very useful specifically para sa field mo lang. But a lot of times, yung mga nasabing pito, sila yung common all throughout the entire fields. Okay? So again, if you have time, it is highly recommended to browse the particular extended types of assessments. Okay? So, this last slide in our module talks about assessment as a whole, their forms, their types, and the different approaches. Wala nga lang yung principles. Okay? This is suggested by, this is retrieved from Menz and Lube. Okay? So, of course, again, iba-iba po yan based on our different sources. But for now, let's look at this particular ones. The forms of assessments, 5 po iyan. 2 lang yung hinighlight ni Menz and Lube kasi 2 lang din yung halos makikita mo sa classroom every day. Types of assessment would be norm reference, criterion reference, and standard reference. Yung norm reference, sasabi natin last time, this is when passing or failing is dependent sa mga kasabay mong nag-take ng test. Criterion reference is meron kang criteria na tinitignan. If 75 pasa, 75 below is fail. That's an example of a criterion reference assessment. Ang standards assessment, this will be focused on the standards that a particular objective wants to establish. Okay? Makikita natin yan sa curriculum guide. Meron silang tinatawag na standard, performance standards. Those are example of standard referenced assessments. And of course, ang approaches natin sa assessment, yung 3 yan. Assessment as learning, which is basically this is basically a type of formative assessment. Kasama niya ang assessment for learning. Okay, and then yung pangatlo, yung naiiba, assessment of learning, that is our summative assessment. Assessment methods, basically, pwede manggaling sa kanila or manggaling sa peers nila. And of course, kasama rin na pwede manggaling siya sa mga teachers, sa mga raters, sa mga evaluators nila. Okay? Assessment instruments, okay, ito yung hindi pa nasasabi. We're going to talk more about that on the next modules. And our assessment tools, okay, basically yung mga pinagkukuhanan natin ng criteria, ng examples, ng rubrics, ng objectives, etc., etc. Ang pinaka-example niyan would be our curriculum guide. And of course, yung mga references na ginagamit natin when we create our own test. Okay? Ang mga teachers niyo po, pag gumagawa ng rubric, hindi usually yan nag-i-start from scratch. They start by looking at a rubric for a similar activity and edit it depending on the needs of their learners. Okay? So, kapag ganun po yung paggawa nila ng rubric, ang tawag po sa kanilang reference ay under assessment tool. Yung iba, gumagamit ng mga multiple type test na nakikita nila sa Google to serve as the base of the entire test. Okay? Hopefully, base lang yon. So, kayo class, pag darating kayo sa point na yon, gagamit kayo ng references, please lang, huwag 100% kopyahin. Mag-adapt po tayo, mag-paraphrase po tayo because this serves as our exercise in actually crafting our own assessment tools from scratch. Okay? So, yun nga. Those are the general view of assessment according to Menz and Lube. Okay? So, again, whenever you select a type of assessment method you're going to use, always look at your objectives. Okay? Kapag ang objective mo is to measure knowledge, measure understanding, usually mga pen and paper test, yan mga objective test. But if you want to measure their entire skill, their holistic skills, and a more extensive knowledge base, dapat mga subjective test yung gagamitin natin like performance and essay. Okay? So that is all for this particular recording. I hope you have learned something new from this one. And yeah, I'll see you all in our next session. Bye!